Hey guys, we're going to get started. Thank you everybody for joining us. I'm really excited to do this interview series because those of you who are on my list are obviously open to alternative methods, but not everybody is aware of all the other non-medical, non-invasive options that are out there. So aside from the Reiki and intuitive and mindset coaching that I do, I wanted to sort of branch this out so that we know there are other options, because not everybody aligns or resonates with everything. And some of the stuff that we know about, we don't know why it works or how it works or how it could benefit us. So we're going to be talking with three women in the areas of acupuncture, nutrition, and herbs. And today is with Lisa Morrissey from Baby Steps in Dublin, Ireland, and she's going to be speaking to us about acupuncture. And Lisa is a women's health acupuncturist. She specializes in fertility, IVF support, pregnancy, pre-birth and postpartum care, and all female health matters from menstruation to perimenopause and to menopause. She includes mindfulness, nutrition, exercise, and medicinal herbs into her treatment plan, as well as acupuncture. She's a fertility and pregnancy acupuncture clinic called Baby Steps. Baby Steps is a one-stop therapy center promoting the mind, body, and spirit health of couples right through from preconception to birth. And she achieved this through nutritional advice, exercises, mindfulness, acupuncture, and Chinese herbal prescriptions. This combined treatment plan has women feeling healthier, calmer, and more in control of their situation and more prepared for theirs and their baby's future. So welcome, Lisa. Are you there?
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
I'm here. Thanks
welcome.
for inviting me. It's really good to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So I just want to get started and just kind of let people know how you got into this line of work, what sort of led you to wanting to help these women with fertility.
Yeah, for sure. Up until I studied acupuncture, I actually never really understood the relationships between eating well, exercising, and the effect it has on your mood and your energy levels. And I haven't had any extreme health issues myself, but what I did have is a high level of testosterone. And at the age of 15, I remember my doctor prescribed the contraceptive pill to me. I mean, back then I didn't question it because I didn't really know about any other way of dealing with hormone imbalances or, health in general. It was actually years later, when I actually had a gym injury and I hurt my hip. And I was looking for treatment, somebody suggested acupuncture to me. And when I went along and I had the acupuncture, I was actually amazed how after 2 sessions that it sorted out my hip problem. So then I went on and decided that I was going to study acupuncture because I had that hip pain for a year previously, and I was just so astounded at how the acupuncture works that I went ahead and studied it. And it was there actually that I learned how the mind, body, and spirit are all connected, and I started incorporating nutrition and exercise and mindfulness and meditation into my own daily lifestyle because I wanted to try and balance my own hormones, which incidentally I suppose is why then I got into that area of acupuncture. Fertility is pretty much like 90% of the issues with fertility would be hormone related. So that's pretty much like, where I decided to kind of go into that area, yeah.
Great. So how do you contribute to the health of others, particularly with fertility health? How do you approach somebody who's coming to you for fertility?
Yeah, sure. I always work on 2 areas. I work on the physical side and the emotional. I find that once you educate somebody and show them the way, they're willing to go home and put in the work. So, clients come to me with a whole range of different reasons, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, low sperm counts, unexplained fertility. But, they each get a different treatment, but it doesn't end there. Then I would go on and discuss, nutrition with them. And I would firstly, I'd be encouraging everybody to eat organic. Some people get access to organic food. So in that case, I would explain to them that there's a little trick you can do where you can soak your fruit and vegetables in a basin of water with a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, leave them there for a half an hour, and then rinse, and that's like almost as good as organic. So.
Oh, that's great. That's a great tip.
Yeah,
great.
For sure. That's a pretty cool one. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, people with endometriosis. I mean, I would be definitely saying you have to go organic. I'd also be saying to people with endometriosis to cut wheat out completely, because the two of those will then help with the inflammation going down.
Oh yeah.
Much, most of their situations sorted. Yeah, for sure. But then, with other fertility issues, like what I would do is, I'd recommend, I have 5 top fertility boosting foods, and I would be suggesting to people that, that they would try and incorporate one from each category into their diet every day. So like I was saying, the first category would be like green veg, like, your kale, your spinach, green for iron and folic acid. I mean, a lot of these people will eat daily anyway, but it's just knowing, to make sure to try and incorporate them each day. The second category would be like the red and orange foods, like that are rich in beta carotene. Carrots or sweet potatoes, they're really good for your hormones. Yeah, for sure. And then the third one I would be saying to people would be whole grain foods like bread, lentils, beans, brown rice, that kind of thing, all rich in iron and vitamin B, which as well.
I think it's really important that we kind of, I mean, at least in America anyway, we want an easy button for everything, and we want to just take a pill or even a supplement, and a lot of the supplements aren't bioavailable to your body, so it's so much better if you can get, like you said, from foods these minerals that you're needing.
Yeah, so much better for the foods. And you're right in what you're saying. Like, often people come in and like they want the quick fix, but like, once you do explain to them then that, it isn't just like the acupuncture on its own, for example, isn't just enough. You do need to go and take control yourself as well and do the everything adds up. But so the last two then just that I would be recommending is the vitamin C with like the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that kind of thing, and eggs, 2 eggs a day. So, basically that's the first thing I would be doing is getting people to, like, maybe the first week that they come, as well as the acupuncture, I'd be asking them to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And I find that most of my clients, like fertility, they're willing to do the work. I started working with people with, chronic pain and other sort of issues, and I find, like, women want the baby, so they're willing to put in the work. And I think once you lay out that, listen, like, this is what has to be done, they are willing to do it. And that's exciting as a practitioner, I'm sure, for you as well, when you see them make these changes.
Absolutely. There's actually one thing that I do say to people, though, because I do find that, people have really good intentions, but what happens sometimes is, that they go home and they have, like, certain foods in the fridge, so they kind of think, I'll start tomorrow. And then like, the next day they have, like, they have a lunch date, so they kind of say, I don't know what's going to be in the rest, I'll start tomorrow. So I always say to people, start today, there is no tomorrow, because, and you're going to put it off until the next day. So it's just, why you just go home and start that very first day. I think that's the important part. Once you've started, you're going to start feeling better, and you're going to be, like, happy with yourself. And
Do you recommend supplements at all for your clients, or is it
more? Actually, I mean, like, I absolutely do. In fact, like, I would always try and get people to, like, first and foremost get the nutrition from the food. And, you can't always get all, like, I think even especially nowadays with the food that you're getting, you just can't get all of your nutrition from your food.
Yep.
I eat healthy, and like last year I went and I got bloods taken for general wellness, and it came back that my vitamin D was very low. So like I was surprised about that, because I'm outside every day and I eat quite healthy. But so for sure, like, I'd be saying to people, maybe an omega-3 fish oil, definitely get a good brand, because like it definitely makes a difference, And then,
is there anything that they should look for, in terms of brands of supplements, like what they should look for when picking one versus the other?
Over here, there's a really good omega-3 fish oil called Eskimo, or else there's, the Sogar do a good brand, but I'm not sure now if it would be the same over there. But you could easily find, even in when you go to a health shop, they're going to be able to advise you in there as well. But
okay.
The brands are different over there, yeah. But like then I'd say to people after that, like I'd recommend, a high potency multivitamin and mineral supplement.
Okay.
And with that, like rather than like with the brand for that, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that it has like vitamin C, folic acid, vitamins like C, D, E, selenium, zinc, and beta carotene. And if it has all,
and
you're good. Yeah.
Are those for general women's health, or are there certain ones that are specifically good for fertility that are included in that multi?
These ones that I'm talking about are specifically for fertility.
They are, okay.
You have you can get supplements that are specifically made for female fertility, and you can get other ones specifically for male fertility. The male fertility would have the selenium, but it would also have L-arginine and L-carotene in it, so they are different. But
okay.
It makes it much easier than you having to like go and buy all of the different pills individually. Though is it does take about 3 months for the full effects to kick in, so you kind of have to stick with it.
Okay. What's you mentioned people coming in with good intention, and then maybe it's sometimes hard, or they feel overwhelmed or stressed. What's something that you could convey to our listeners in terms of getting a handle on what seems like an overwhelming situation?
What I do in that case is, like, again, I would find that the most important thing is like to educate people. And what I feel is that, like, if you say to somebody, don't get stressed, like what they're going to do is they're going to find it irritating and frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe more stressed, Yeah.
Yep.
So like when you educate them, like they can put their own perspective on things. And what I do is I try to help them understand the stress and fertility connection by explaining, how stress causes a decrease in your progesterone levels, and like I would explain how progesterone means like for gestation. So women need this hormone in its right balance to become pregnant, and like it nourishes the uterine lining in preparation for the implanted fertilized egg. And progesterone that's what feeds and nourishes the uterus during pregnancy. So if people understand all that, and then if you go and tell them that cortisol is released with stress, but that your adrenal glands use up your progesterone to make the cortisol, well then you're going to kind of realize that it has a serious impact, and it's probably going to make you stop sweating the little stuff as much,
Yeah, I think that
just when they understand, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that education piece is so important, because we're smart, high functioning adults who are doing this, especially now, this sort of go with careers, and I think a lot of women don't realize how stressed they are, even if they're not realizing it. Sometimes the pace of work, the hours that we put in, the juggling of all these other tasks that we have to do besides the job, it's really, I think, great to help women realize that, listen, it's not just relax. There are these things that are going on that need to happen, that are necessary. And I think sometimes people need to take that step back because they don't even realize they're in it,
Exactly. But what I do actually say to people is, I say that it is important to, a lot of people now would be kind of on the buzz of the positive thinking, and which is really good. But, I do try to remind them that it is important to sit with your feelings. Like if you do feel angry or fear or worry or grief or sadness, not to avoid, but you have to sit with them and acknowledge them. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, subconsciously they're still there, and you're kind of putting out that vibration without realizing it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just attracting more of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it is, like, I think, because I see a lot of girls coming into me, and what they do is, like, they're trying, like, anytime some of those feelings come up, they just try and brush them away because they're sort of afraid to go there.
Oh, yeah.
So that is an important one, just to sort of bring people, because then they can be more gentle on themselves. It's like, it's okay to have these feelings. It's normal.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you next. I notice a lot of women in my practice come in, with this sort of blame factor, like my body can't do what my friends' bodies can do. But, I'm bad at getting pregnant. And then, you know, when we talk about law of attraction stuff, they're like, oh, well, you mean I'm causing this? And, you know, so I'm just sort of working them through the mindset around that. But can you speak to that blame piece at all? Do you notice that?
I do, of course I do, yeah. And it's actually quite a delicate one because you have to be sort of careful what way you approach it without making it feel even worse. But like, definitely I think that's why a lot of people don't come and look for help until like, you know, maybe longer than what they should have, is because there's that sense of sort of like self-blame sometimes, or the sense of like guilt, or feeling of like, you know, that their body isn't fulfilling the most natural thing. But I mean, in that case, like what I try to explain to people is that what they don't realize is that 1 in 5 people are actually going through the same thing, and that it's not that easy. It's not as natural and easy as people think, and that there are ways that, you know, there's just certain, you can take control of your fertility just by educating yourself and by, you know, doing a little bit positive in the right direction each day. Take one new step. I think it can be a bit overwhelming if you try to change everything at once. I mean, you know, doing the mindfulness and doing the food and doing the acupuncture and whatever. So one step at a time. That's what I say to people, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it's coming out of that now, but it's still like one of those sort of taboo things. Like people used to not talk about cancer, or used to not talk about PTSD, and fertility is still one of those things that's a little, you know, we don't realize how many women are actually dealing with it, you know. Yeah. So I think it's great to have that education piece to be like, oh, I can have some control over this. It's not something. What I found with my clients, anyways, once they realize that it's something that's happening for them versus something that's happening to them, you know, like coming out of the place of something happening to them and taking control of it, like, oh, this is happening for a reason. What do I need to work on, or what's coming up for me that I need to address? It's always something, you know. So the more they can look at it as a lesson or a journey or you know, exploration versus something that's happening to them that allows them to take control.
Exactly, and then like the changes that you make, you know, they're going to benefit you for life because you start feeling you've got more energy, you're going to be more positive, you're going to feel better, and you're going to hold on to changes. So as you said, it's like it is just a good learning experience as well.
Yeah, it permeates, I'm sure you've seen as well, of all other areas of their life, from career to relationships to whatever. It's sort of like seeps into everything once you sort of crack that open in the, you know, fertility. A lot of times people come in for that, and then it just ends up changing everything for the better, the work that they do. So that's great. Yeah. What about, you know, checking in with the emotional aspect and, you know, like balancing the emotional and the physical, you know, like the worry, the uncertainty, you know, how do you, you know, aside from the education, what are some ways that they can help sort of balance that?
I mean, with the acupuncture itself, it's going to help balance that as well. With the treatment, like acupuncture, like I said earlier, with acupuncture, I mean, it's really good for, like, even though you teach people not to stress, of course, there's going to be bigger things in your life that you still will stress about. So acupuncture will help the body to handle that stress, but so it's relaxing. But also, you know, when people are in and they're having the treatments, I would teach them a mindfulness with breathing, and when you do that, it's going to give you a really deep, relaxing. It makes your body really relax and follows the mind really relax. And I think some little techniques like that, it always helps, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful, because a lot of us are driving our bodies around from our heads and not in our bodies enough. So that's, I've found that helpful as well, definitely. Can you just go into a little more about like how acupuncture actually works in terms of fertility, or how it helps? Most people know what acupuncture is, but don't necessarily know how or what it's doing exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, acupuncture can be used, infertility acupuncture can be used in and of itself, but also I would have some people come in to me where it's just, they're looking for it to complement like the Western medicine in terms of couples who are undergoing assisted reproductive technology like that. But, I mean, acupuncture, I mean, you know, it's just to give people a very brief explanation, I guess, it's like an ancient Chinese medicine that goes back like 5,000 years. And, you know, what they discovered was that there's chi or energy that flows through the body in channels, and that this energy should be flowing freely like a river. But, you know, if there's any blocks in the channel, then, you know, what we do is with the acupuncture just points on the channels so we can release those blocks. And when you release them, it's both going to help the physical and the emotional aspects in people's lives. But I guess, like, to put it more specifically for, like, fertility, you know, it does a number of things. First of all, I was saying about, like, it relieves the stress, but also it would, like, boost your fertility by, you know, it regulates your FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone. It would regulate your menstrual cycle. It regulates ovulation. It would result in a better uterine lining. It can improve the ovaries, you know, which would bring nutrients, and that results in a better egg quality. And then for guys actually as well, like it can improve sperm quality and quantity. So I guess for different people coming, like I would be using there'll be different points to focus on the different areas. But you know, before people conceive, they can start seeing that the acupuncture is working because they see like signs like their monthly cycle is becoming more regular, or their energy level, their mood is better, they're not getting PMC, different things like that. They see those signs first, and then you know, the plan is then pregnancy after that.
Do you work with a lot of couples or a lot of men? Do you find that they're pretty open to acupuncture?
Definitely not as much. Like what I usually find is that when couples, even when they ring initially, I would usually suggest that the girl comes in first, unless he is interested in coming in, because I find guys, when they come, like they'll probably come 2 or 3 times max. They don't really generally want to come anymore. So I like to get the girl in first and really have as much information and know as much about like the, you know, the tests that have been done from the Western point of view and as much history. And then when I get them in, I know I've got like 2 or 3 goes before they're probably not going to come back anymore. So yeah, I find that it's like a lot more, the girls are driving it a lot more.
Yeah, I have a few clients who haven't been as open to, and the energy work that I do, I feel like it's pretty practical as far as energy work goes, but sometimes the guys aren't super open to that, and so I've had more success, you know, recommending them to an acupuncturist because it's something they can sort of wrap their heads around, and it isn't, you know, so far away for them from, you know, a doctor's appointment. So they found it a little bit easier
they like the science behind it,
yeah. And one of my clients who just got pregnant, her husband had a low sperm count, and he was going to an acupuncturist for a while. So I think it's definitely something that that our listeners should consider. And can you just speak a little bit before we wrap up? Just speak a little bit about you have some clients that are going through IVF, and you're supporting them with acupuncture. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there is a German protocol that was, you know, just discovered I think about 20 years ago, and so it's just proven that like there's about 30% improvement on your chances of conceiving with IVF if you on the same day as the implantation, if you get like acupuncture before and after, then it's going to increase your. So I get a lot of people, but they would come before that as well. But like definitely on the day of the implantation, they would come twice, once beforehand and once after. Really greatly increase. But also, like what it would do is, you know, with the side effects of the drug, it can just help balance their mood for them and just help them, you know, be more calm and more relaxed, because obviously it's really important that the body is relaxed and not stressed.
Yeah. I think that's really good for people to know that are going through IVF, that there are things that they can do to, you know, smooth it out, like smooth out the side effects and increase their chances, and in incorporating mindfulness, even if you are going a medical route, that there are things that you can incorporate to support that, to assist with that. So
yes,
that's great.
yes.
Is there
anything?
They
really like to come in, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. I think they really like to come in just for the relaxation of it as well. You know.
Yeah, it's a stressful journey to go through. So I that's important in itself, just to feel relaxed, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with? Any last words?
What I would say is, like, no matter what you've been told before, you know, no matter if you were told you can't have a baby or you're infertile, like, there are other options. Like, I've had so many people come in to me that have been told things like that, and they haven't, you know, realized that there is, you know, help out there in terms of alternative medicines and, you know, nutrition and supplements and stuff like that. So I would say to people, you know, just, you know, don't give up hope and, you know, trust in yourself and trust in your body. And just educate yourself, because once you've educated yourself, then, you know, you can take control of your own fertility, and you can kind of then just be gentle with yourself after that, and kind of surrender and know that you have, you know, done all that you can do.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much for joining me. It was great to speak with you. I got married in Ireland, actually, side note.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I love Ireland.
Cool. Oh, I love that.
I'm so glad you could join us. So if
thanks so much for having me.
If listeners want to connect with you, they go to www.babysteps.ie. Is that correct?
Sweet.
And then if they want to email you, it's info@babysteps.ie. And you can find her on Twitter at acupuncturelisa. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate
Andrea.
it.
It was really good to chat.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.